stepmom kicked me out of my dad's house thinking she inherited it, but her reaction to the will was priceless. I, 15 female, have always been very close to my dad since he was all I had left after my mom passed away when I was a child. He had remarried, but my stepmom was never very fond of me. She tolerated me for his sake, but she never wanted me around and would have been happier if I passed away in some freak accident. I knew that once my dad is gone, I would be all alone in the world, but I trusted him to take care of me so that I would never be completely helpless. My dad was diagnosed with leukemia and only given a few months to live. Within these few months, he set his affairs in place and made his official will properly. He always promised me that even if he was going to pass away, he would still be looking after me from beyond. I was honestly in too much shock to even comprehend what his passing away could mean for my future. I was only focused on the overwhelming feeling of loss that was overtaking me as his end came nearer. He told me that after his passing there were many people who would try to take advantage of me since he wouldn't be around to protect me anymore. He made me swear to protect myself in every way and stand up for myself if anyone tried to harm me. He promised me that legally he would do everything it took to make sure that I would always be safe, but he made me promise to never stop fighting for myself when the world would attack me after his passing. I promised him that I would always fight, even though I didn't realize the significance of his words until much later. My dad passed away peacefully in his sleep. Once he passed, everyone was in mourning, but soon enough, everyone's demeanor towards me changed. My stepmom started treating me like a despicable being much beneath her instead of my father's daughter. I tried to remember my promise to my father and stood strong in the face of all her attacks, but it was never enough. Finally, she told me that since my father wasn't alive anymore, it didn't make any sense for me to keep living in the property which would soon enough belong to her. I was honestly in shock. I begged with her and tried to convince her that I had no place to go. If she threw me out, I would become homeless. However, she stayed firm to her decision, and it almost seemed like she enjoyed seeing me beg for my right to survival. I remembered that my father had promised to look out for me even from beyond, but I felt all alone as I bore the onslaught of her attacks while trying to fight to remain in the house. I wondered if there was any way that my father had ensured my staying in the house, but I was too young to know and the wills hadn't been touched yet. My aunt decided to take me in when my stepmom finally threw me out. I was honestly grateful for her, but I couldn't live with her forever. The house that my stepmom has usurped was the one where I belonged. It had all the memories of my dad, and I couldn't go around pretending that I hadn't been displaced from the only place where I belonged. My aunt tried her best to support me, but I am still in deep shock over the fact that the place where I grew up is not mine to call home anymore. It's even more shocking that the person I called mom would be this cruel to me, uncaring of what fate befell me. I am now waiting for the funeral and for the will to be read so that I know what measures my father was talking about that he had taken to protect me. Update 1. So the funeral was held 2 days ago. I wasn't allowed to go because only the people allowed by my stepmom could attend. However, I was summoned by my stepmom yesterday in a hurry because something huge had apparently happened. When I went to meet her, I saw our family lawyer with her. I instantly became nervous, but I gathered enough courage to go up to them and ask them what was wrong. It seemed like that was the only opening my stepmom needed. She started raining abuse at me, calling me names and accusing me of theft and manipulating my father and influencing him against her. I had no idea about what was going on and was honestly a bit scared at this point. Our lawyer told me that they had taken a look at the will and needed to clear some things up with me. I was surprised because I didn't think that could warrant such a reaction from my stepmom. Then I heard the contents of the will and I understood. My father had put in a clause that my stepmother would only get to own the house if she allowed me to live there as an equal member of the family. Since she had thrown me out and forced me to live with my aunt, this matter would be brought up in court, but it was pretty certain that she was fighting a losing battle. Everyone knew that I had been taken advantage of by her and there was no way for her to prove her innocence in this matter. I told her honestly that I had no idea that my father had done this, but I was glad. Now I realized what he had meant by looking after me from beyond. He really was still protecting my rights even after passing away, and I couldn't think of anyone I could ever love more than him because of what a wonderful parent he was being to me. I thought that I would have to live with my aunt forever, but it seemed like that was not the case anymore. Update 2. My stepmom wants to make a court case out of the entire matter. My aunt has promised to stand by me and defend me if necessary. I am really lucky to have her now that there is no one else to protect me from the world. She told me that there was no way that I wasn't getting the house, especially because my stepmother decided to throw a minor out of the house. I don't really care, except that it was the only shelter I had ever had. I couldn't depend on my aunt forever. I told my stepmom and my step-siblings that I was not going to let my house go without a fight. They didn't seem to have expected that because my stepmom seemed like she had been thrown into uncharted waters. She finally told me to think about what I was doing since this would impact this entire family. She asked me whether I wanted to divide the family over property that badly, but I realized that these were just words, used to hide the fact that my stepmom was now grasping at any straw she could find in order to convince me to not go through with the legal procedure. However, I remembered my promise to my father. I had sworn to fight for myself and never give up. I was not going to stop fighting, not when he had tried so hard to give me the weapons I needed. I didn't really hold a grudge against my stepmom, but it was more the fact that if I didn't stand up for myself now, I would be mistreated even more until I became nothing more than a doormat. My stepmom has mistreated me in the past and my father knew this. Perhaps this is what influenced his decision when dividing up the property. He knew that my stepmom was capable of completely ruining me, so he gave me the power to ruin her instead. My step-siblings were not very happy with their mother. I heard numerous protests about how she had promised them that the house was only going to be theirs and I would be thrown out, but the opposite seemed to be happening. I don't consider myself a vindictive person, but this really made me feel satisfied as I remembered the years of torture they had put me through. It was just payback for everything they had done to me, especially considering they were going to steal my home from me. I am still young, so I have no idea about the legal procedures, but I am researching on them. Our lawyer has been the most helpful, telling me everything I need to know and making every step to make the proceedings safe for me. My aunt has stood by me at every step, and honestly, it seems like my dad is looking after me through her. I have been looking at everything I could use against my stepmom, and honestly there's a lot. She has decided to make me her enemy and deprive me of my rights. Now I will get my revenge. I am honestly grateful for my dad being able to think ahead and realize how he needed to phrase his will. He protected me till his dying breath because he knew that once he passed, my step-family would pounce on me like a pack of vultures and strip me of every single right I had. A few days ago I was feeling completely demotivated and I was certain that I would never see my house ever again. Now I was only certain of the fact that my stepmother would get what was coming to her. At times, I felt like I was letting down my father's memory by letting vengeance dictate my actions, but my aunt has reassured me that my father would want to see my stepmom being punished for all of her crimes against me. He had made his will knowing that I might have to fight for my position in the house. All I was doing was reinforcing his wishes and punishing my stepmom for doing what he would have hated to see. My stepmom has always seen me as an outsider trying to steal her thunder. This was a jolt she needed to realize that I was my father's daughter. I would always come first to him for the simple reason that he was my father. He had tried to protect me from my stepmom all his life, but now that he is gone, I need to protect myself by any means possible. And if that means taking the aid of law, then so be it. I have lost a lot within the span of the last few days. I am not letting my house go without a fight. And I will make sure that my stepmom pays for every single thing she did to me, ever. So my parents have me and my sister Katie. We're both mid-20s now. Dad had an affair, got the other woman pregnant, and she told Mom about her and my dad's relationship when she was 6 months along. Mom kicked Dad out immediately and they divorced. Dad was living with and engaged to other woman. They had another kid a short time later. My sister and I were 6 and 7 when our lives got turned upside down. Dad's other woman/second wife bailed when she realized he still wanted Mom and would have stayed had she not kicked him out. She left her kids behind too. Dad wanted Mom to step into our half-siblings' lives. Mom held firm on her no. When Katie and I were teenagers, our dad ended up seriously injured and our half-siblings spent the best part of a year in foster care. A big deal was made of this because Dad had requested our mom be asked to take our half-siblings if something happened to him, and Mom had said no when approached. We didn't see our half-siblings at all during this time. It's been almost a decade since all that. Dad fully recovered and finished raising our half-siblings alone. But Mom's lack of taking in half-siblings has never been forgotten. Dad hates her for it, and so do our half-siblings. Katie and I also get some shit from them for not begging/demanding Mom save them from foster care. They had a shitty experience. I will always, 100% be on my mom's side for that. She did what was best for her and ultimately, what was best for me and Katie, because we needed our mom healthy and doing good. Not struggling and drowning in her own feelings because she was trying to take care of the kids who reminded her of the affair her ex-husband had. Katie is engaged and the topic has come up a lot. Dad and our half-siblings are not happy with Mom being an active part of the wedding, and they say she should be cut from the wedding for not protecting our half-siblings. Katie said no way in hell. I said that Mom had no responsibility to them and I never thought she did anything wrong. My words sparked an even worse fight, where they said we should care about our half-siblings, and how could I condone the actions of a grown woman who left kids to go to foster care when they were the siblings of her own children? Am I the a-hole? So I made plans for us to get up, go work at a coffee shop, then meet my family for lunch, and then go to the market. Very nice day my girlfriend likes to sleep in, and I get up super early, 5:30 a.m. or 6 a.m. I told her I wanted to leave early, like 7 a.m. because I had a ton of work to do before seeing my family.
She expressed how exhausted and tired she was yesterday, so this morning when I woke up at 6 a.m., considering we went to bed at 11:30 p.m., I didn't wake her up, and let her sleep.
I got ready to leave, and went to give her a kiss goodbye, while telling her take all the time you need, meet me at the coffee shop, I don't want to rush you, I know you're tired. She all of a sudden gets all cold with me saying OMG why didn't you wake me up? I thought we were going together. I expressed that I wanted to let her sleep because I know how tired she was, and that she can just meet me later being an hour later so she can get ready, while I get a head start on my work. I finally leave the house, and she texts me basically saying how she doesn't understand why I was able to wake her up to say goodbye, but not able to wake her up when I woke up. She later starts texting me arguing saying that it isn't fair that we made plans and I'm going off on my own without her. All I wanted to do was make her sleep in more because I know how tired she was. She starts with the name calling etc., and I told her instead of arguing with me, since you're already up, get ready and come. The coffee place is 10 minutes away from our house. She says she doesn't want to drive there and pay for parking and pay for gas. I don't know if she expected me to drive back to pick her up. I really think she's being a baby. My solution would be to just get in your car, drive over, it's not that difficult. I apologized for not waking her up, but I genuinely just wanted her to sleep. She finally basically cancels all our daily plans, and says have a nice day. I'm sitting in the coffee shop alone now, it's been 2 hours. She isn't coming. So, am I the a-hole for leaving while she's sleeping?